Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Thursday. I hope you're well. I hope you're enjoying the week, or enjoying it as best you possibly can without club football to look forward to this weekend. Very, very strange week, isn't it? Feels like it's mad. We're in November and there's no club football to talk about. What we're going to do for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Although saying that, at least very, very soon Arsenal will start being back in action. We will have stuff to talk about with them over in Dubai. Games coming up in Dubai Super Cup and that big friendly at the Emirates in the end of December, or sorry, just before Christmas in December. So we will have some Arsenal to talk about, and we will have to discuss the World Cup as it kicks off. There is plenty of Arsenal interest, obviously, so lots of us to keep us entertained over the coming weeks, of course. I wanted to talk about a few things in today's video. I wanted to start with Charlie Patino, a player who's very much in the headlines at the moment, as I'm sure you are probably aware. Lots and lots of links over the last 24, 48 hours regarding Patino's future with Barcelona, said to be interested in him. Those reports have first sort of emerged from Spain, and they've been picked up over here and blasted over all the websites, as you can imagine. Nothing new. Barcelona sort of keeping tabs on Charlie. It's he's got the Spanish links. His father's Spanish. The Spanish FA, as I've reported previously, are very much keeping an eye on his situation because he would qualify to play for them, although at the moment he's obviously coming through the England youth ranks. So Barcelona have always been in and around the mix. There's always been mention of possible interest from them, and it's come out again, given his good performances this season on loan on Blackpool. So I just wanted to talk about him, how he's getting on, and sort of look a little bit ahead to what the future might hold for Charlie Patino, because he's obviously a very, very good talent for Arsenal. Someone who's been talked about for a long, long time. Lots of hype about him as he was coming through from Haaland. And that isn't dying down with the performances he's putting in Blackpool. He's had a fantastic loan. I think this is what's going on with Charlie this season at Blackpool is the classic case of a loan just working superbly at the exact right time for a player. He needed to go out on loan this season. It would have been mad to stay at the under-21s, and his people pushed for it, and they've been proved absolutely right. Arsenal eventually went for it. There was a little bit of, it wasn't sure if it was going to happen this season. Arsenal were quite keen on him sticking around and playing for the 21s and continuing to progress there, training in and around the first team. But, the people who are close to Charlie, who's managing his career or helping manage his career, they were very keen to get him out on loan and to play and to really progress. And it just felt like the absolute right time. So it's good that Arsenal agreed with him in the end, and the deal was done with Blackpool. And he's absolutely flourishing over there at the Championship, proving he can do it despite his young age in the Championship, and he's making lots of headlines with what he's doing at Blackpool, and the club loves him there. And I think he's played 16 games now in the Championship. He's played another in the or he might have had 15 in the Championship, 1 in the Cup, so he's up to 16 games this season, which is exactly what he needed. His talent has never been questioned. I think the one sort of question around Charlie, perhaps as he was progressing at this sort of age, was he big enough to be able to deal with the physical side of things in senior football? Was he a little bit too slight of frame? Did he need to bulk up a little bit? Well, he did bulk up a bit in the summer. He's still not massive, but he still did bulk up in the summer. He worked on that. But even so, he's gone to the Championship now, and he's absolutely shown he can cut it at that level, that the physicality doesn't bother him, that his quality can still shine through when he's on the ball, despite the much older, stronger senior players around him who are trying to get a ball off him, and he's showing he can handle that. And he's really growing at Blackpool by the week. And I spoke to someone the other day at Blackpool, for when I wrote a piece about him recently. I spoke to one of the guys up at the Blackpool Gazette, and it's just absolutely glowing in his praise. So of what he can do. So he's by far and away the most talented player in that Blackpool squad when it comes to footballing ability. But the thing that's impressed him most is the way he's been able to deal with the physical side of things and step up and show he can mix it with proper men. And you got to look at Charlie at the moment. He's still practically a boy. He's so young. So he's having a really good loan spell. And like I said, I think it's just the classic case of a loan spell absolutely working well. So it's no surprise to see lots of clubs interested in him, and the fact he's now being linked with Barcelona doesn't surprise me one bit, because of the form he's showing and the quality that he has, and the fact he's been spoken about for so long that everyone knows about him in English football, European football. Any scout worth their job and recruitment team worth their job know how good Charlie Patino is and the potential that he has. And the key thing now is for Arsenal is being able to sort out his future, because he's out of contract at the end of this season. He does have that 2-year option, which we all know about, for them to potentially take up, which would extend his stay by another 2 years. But then there's that case of, can he really stick on the current contract he's on for another 2 years? You have to say no, because he needs to be rewarded for his performances and for the way he's playing now in the Championship. So you can't just stick a player who is doing what Charlie's doing and keep him on the same money that he was on when he signed his first professional contract as a 17-year-old kid who was coming through still playing for the under-18s at Arsenal. It's just not the case. They're going to have to reward him and give him fresh terms to keep him. So there's all that to discuss, and I'm sure that will happen at some point, because footballing wise, business wise, it absolutely has to happen. You can't let a talent like that just walk away. So that's all going to happen at some point pretty soon. I imagine those talks they'll have to. I mean, Arsenal would be absolutely mad if they don't. And Charlie's happy at Arsenal. From what I know, he's been here an awful long time. He loves the club. He wants to have a future at the club, but then if he has to be rewarded, and when there's lots of other clubs knocking on the door and keeping tabs on the situation, it's not a foregone conclusion. So the ball's firmly in Arsenal's court now. Charlie's position has strengthened massively with this loan spell, and he's put himself in the shop window, so to speak, and that's why all these clubs are circling. So it's down to Arsenal to reward him, and like I said, I'm sure that is going to happen. But at this stage, it's not yet. So until it does, everything's a little bit up in the air at the moment. But still, I'm looking forward to seeing Charlie end the season with Blackpool, seeing how he gets on. I can't imagine that loan's going to be cut short in January by any means. I'm sure he'll see out the season there, unless some huge club comes in and says we'll take him for the second half of the season on loan. But I doubt it. He's really happy at Blackpool. Arsenal are really happy with him at Blackpool. Charlie's people are really happy with him being at Blackpool. So I think that's where he'll certainly end the season. But we'll see what happens with his in terms of his future in Arsenal contract. I'm sure that's going to be a big talking point as the season progresses, because it's 100% Arsenal, something that Arsenal need to get sorted. Yes, you've got all the big name players, your Salibas, your Sakas, your Martinellis, that you need to get sorted 100%, but you can't forget about other players as well. And someone like Charlie, with his age, the fact he's English, the sort of ties he has to the club, a homegrown HLM boy, you got to make sure you keep your eye on the ball with that one as well, and get him sorted. So we'll wait and see what happens. But that's what I wanted to say about Charlie. From one HLM boy to another, Emile Smith Rowe closing in hopefully fairly soon on a return to some sort of action. He's been out for a long time. It's been a horrible season for Emile, let's face it. 5 games I think he's played so far, or 4 games I think it is actually he's played so far this season. I'm not sure if he's even started one, but before that injury, which has just been troubling him for so long, they had to finally take action and get it sorted. After that, he sort of damaged it again after the Man United game at Old Trafford, when he was doing the warm down with the rest of the substitutes. Eventually the decision was taken for him to go in and have the operation. That's obviously happened. Now he's in the recovery stage, but we're getting towards the end of that. The aim was for always him to be back available around the time that football started up again ahead of the World Cup, after the World Cup. And hopefully that is still on track. He is going to be going over to Dubai for the warm weather training camp. Whether he actually takes a full part in that, I imagine probably not, but we'll have to wait and see if that's how far that's where he is in his recovery process. But just the fact he's going to be over there, I think it's going to be a good thing, because he's got a huge part to play in the second half of this season, Emile Smith Rowe, when he is back and fit. I mean, Arsenal have missed him massively this season, massively in terms of, not just what he can bring. Would he have been a starter? Probably not at the moment, because of the form of Martinelli, and he's not going to take it from Saka over there. There is a possibility, he would have started a lot of Europa League games, obviously, but in the Premier League, he probably would have been an impact substitute. But that's still you need those impact substitutes. They still play a huge role in the season, and Arsenal have missed him. They've missed not having that option on the bench where they can bring him on. They can rotate him with, I don't know, Gabriel Martinelli on the left, or he can even rotate him with Granit Xhaka in that sort of more advanced number 8 role. And it's just, without that option of having him, he's been really noticeable during the season. You just think, the amount of times I've looked on the bench at times, so God, they could do with Smith Rowe now, or Arteta could do with bringing on Smith Rowe now. So it'd be a really big boost. And that horrible phrase of, it would be like a new signing, obviously it's just not, because he's not a new signing, but it's one of those where it kind of rings true a little bit, because it's just going to be this option that Arsenal haven't had for the majority of the season. So it's just fingers crossed everything goes well now that we've got through the worst bit of the recovery from the operation. Now it's about stepping up his fitness, getting him back playing, getting him out on the pitch. That is going to happen fairly soon now as we build up towards the return after the World Cup. And if he can be fit for the start of January, then that'll be a huge thing for Arsenal. And like I said, I think benefit-wise for the second half of the season would just be absolutely huge with that, because we saw what he could do when he was fit last season, when he was playing week in, week out, what he was doing, that goal threat he brings, the sort of creativity in and around the final third. Arsenal have missed that. They don't score many goals, Arsenal. They've still not got, you look at the top scorers this season, Odegaard 6, then you got Jesus, Saka and Martinelli on 5. That's not massive by any means. And so you spread, when you haven't got one player who's going to score you 25 goals, which it doesn't look like Arsenal have, certainly not this season. Jesus is, we know his goals have dried up. When you haven't got that one player who's going to get you all those goals, you need everyone to chip in. You need to have goal threats from all over the pitch. And Arsenal at the moment, you've basically just got 5, because you've got to include Granit in that, because he's got 4 this season as well. But if you can add Smith Rowe into that mix as well, then it'd be hugely beneficial for Arteta and for Arsenal. Okay, before I go, the daily sort of Mudryk update. I've got to seems to be speaking about him an awful lot this week in my videos. But his agent has now spoken. We obviously had yesterday. We had the sporting director of Shakhtar speaking about it. There's been all the links with Arsenal prior to that as well, and Mudryk was talking about it himself. And now we've got his agent, and his agent's kind of speaking out, responding to all the stories that started doing rounds yesterday after the interview that the sporting director gave, basically saying, look, Mudryk's going to be €100 million, about £85 million, because that's what Anthony costs, that's what Jack Grealish cost. And the market dictates what he's worth, and that's what he's going to be worth. So his agent has been speaking. If you haven't seen the quotes yet, this is what Mudryk's agent says. It says, as far as I know, Shakhtar is not officially conducting any negotiations, and all these sky-high numbers that appear on the internet are someone's mild imagination or just speculation. It can be seen with the naked eye that he outgrew the Championship of Ukraine a long time ago and is ready to perform at a more serious level. He needs to progress. And in my opinion, now is the best time for it. I think everyone will benefit from this. Shakhtar, the national team of Ukraine, and the player. But again, Mudryk has a long-term contract with Shakhtar. He's fully focused on the remaining Championship games. Whether Mudryk will go or not, I'm not ready to answer. Everything will depend on the Shakhtar board. I mean, he couldn't make it any clearer in those comments, could he? That he wants Mudryk out and he wants him out now. And it obviously depends on Shakhtar because he does have that contract. But the fact he says, look, he needs to progress. He's outgrown the Championship level. He says, in my opinion, now is the best time for it. He knows that for Mudryk, it's definitely the best time, and honestly for the agent as well, for the player. I mean, his value is not going to get any much higher at the moment, or his stock's not going to get much higher than it is now. The longer he stays in Ukraine, the more he kind of stagnates a little bit. Right now, he's the talk of Europe, or one of the hottest properties in Europe because of what he did in the Champions League. And so if they want to get top dollar for him and they want to get him the best wages and the agent wants to make as much money out of the deal as possible, then he knows that he's got to try and get him out. If not this January, then definitely in the summer, but probably this January. So interesting one there, but it did make me laugh when he said all these sky high numbers that appear on the internet are someone's wild imagination. So it's not someone's wild imagination, it's actually the Shakhtar Donetsk sporting director, because he said it himself. So yeah, I wonder how that went down in the Shakhtar offices. But yeah, I think it's pretty evident that something is going to happen with Mudryk sooner rather than later. Whether that is Arsenal remains to be seen. I mean, I said yesterday, if the Shakhtar sporting director thinks that 100 million euros is going to be what it takes, and I just can't. I'd be stunned if Arsenal went that far. But again, who knows? You know, football surprises me. I never thought Arsenal would spend 72 million on Nicolas Pepe. They did. So you never know. But yeah, interesting one to keep an eye on. I think he's certainly going to be the player that a lot of people are talking about as we get closer to January. That's it from me, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Anything you've agreed with, disagreed with, let me know in the comments below. What should Arsenal do with Patino? Do they need to throw the money at him and get him to sign on? How excited are you by Smith Rowe? And again, anything you've got to say on Mudryk, let me know in the comments below. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you soon.